something here?
Yes, please.
Every Monday, at least in Andhra Pradesh, all the officials sit, it's a grievance day and anyone can go. No, it's not been happening only in this government, even in the previous government also it's happening. For the last so many years it's been happening. And people can go and actually raise the grievances there. But the problem is if you verify the grievances that are coming there, 70 to 75% of them, it's not solvable because it's more related to family disputes.
I understand.
Family disputes in the sense, I'm not saying between husband and not only between husband and wife, it's property issues, those kind of things, which a collector or, RDO cannot sit and solve.
And link his pay to the success failure of that project. In fact, I think it's not the implementation officer, but should the politicians' success be linked to the success of the projects that they promise?
I'll read that out. Projects in government should have an implementation officer and link his pay to the success failure of that project. No, the officer. So they're asking the projects that government do, should they have an implementation officer and then he doesn't get paid if the job is not done?
Let me answer that, because just yesterday was, day before Friday, in a private member bill, I moved that, where it's called the legislative impact assessment. When government passes a legislation, you have to understand at the field level, what is the impact of it? Is it really in tune with what the government envisaged, or is it something different, or people are not really happy with it? For example, the farm bills which were passed in Parliament, they were not in tune with the farmers' needs, so the government had to take back after a huge agitation. So to avoid such things, we moved a bill, a private member bill, which says legislative impact assessment. Any legislation, any bill passed in Parliament which becomes an act, once it reaches, whether it is your road department, health department, they should have an impact assessment and send it to the government. So that way, the very purpose of any enactment done in Parliament is served to full public use.
Okay, this is something which I think it's not for the politicians alone, it goes to everyone here in this room. Citizens should get cashback rewards for segregating waste at home. Citizens should get cashback rewards for segregating waste at home. We segregate waste at home. Not many people do it. The wet and the dry, the recyclable or something which needs to go down the drain. So should the citizens get a cashback? PTR sir, vanakkam. Parties at two different dead ends, but I know that my Chief Minister, the Honorable Chief Minister M.K. Stalin sir, has been working. We have known him for making Chennai as a Singara Chennai, what we call, and being a very proud citizen of Chennai. I still would like to know from you what kind of policies, and do you think that the segregating of waste, should the citizens be rewarded? We all do it, but then we still do find the problems where the waste is not segregated.
Thank you, madam. I knew you before politics, and I hope we're not at dead ends, either of us, but at different ends of the spectrum. But anyway, I think it's a good question. I'll say it more generically.
Sir,
I'd say that no matter what the government does, we cannot achieve outcomes. No, I say whatever the government does, we cannot achieve the outcomes we want unless we have cooperation from the public. So as you know, in many parts of the world, it is mandatory, forget about rewarding. It's a mandatory thing that unless you segregate your waste, the city will not pick it up or the city contractor will not pick it up. And I think even more broadly than that, from water to waste, if we do not get into a recycling kind of economy, we are doomed. As you know, places like Tamil Nadu, we are hugely deficient in water. And if you look at, though we have designs of sewage treatment plants and all that, if you actually look at the percentage of the water that is recycled as opposed to runoff, it is abysmally low.
It's a very good question. What are we incentivizing people to segregate their own rubbish? And I don't think individuals should be rewarded for this. I think collective action is required. Municipalities can actually devolve funds to those who maintain their areas. So if anyone maintains their area, like say Banjara Hills Road number 12. Now road number 12, everyone has to be accountable. We've removed the public garbage cans And earlier when I was municipal corporator for that area, it was an uphill task. Well-to-do people living in palatial bungalows don't want to pay a minimum of 500 rupees to get that chap in to pick up your garbage. I think it's time we've come of age. If you can go to Chandrayaan, you can jolly well learn how to segregate your own waste and for a better future for yourself. Today, Delhi is reeling under pollution. And they blame the farmer who burning stubble for the past 500 years. And you blame them for 2 days of Diwali, which is not relevant. There are huge landfills lying around Delhi, where it's constantly spewing toxic air into the atmosphere. In summers, the air, because it's hotter, the air rises so you don't see it. And in winters, because the climatic conditions, it comes down and collapses. So you're breathing in toxic fumes. And if we've learnt nothing as humanity and mankind from COVID, then we deserve what we get. Polluted countries, polluted cities, and a matter of national shame. Institutes like BARC and all have technologies. You have newer technologies today which you can adapt in your home to make your own compost. You can utilize that compost if you don't have a garden, contribute it to your municipal areas where you can actually, and that is how you incentivize. You incentivize localities so that there's peer group and community pressure on each other that please do not dump your garbage in front of my house. And that is something we've got to consciously take up, and it should be inculcated from schools. Children are great guardians. They really look out. I've used them as health minister as early as '98, where I had school monitors. We had dengue monitors who would read out to the class, and they were very good at going home to home and saying, please empty your cans and don't keep stagnant water around. And that is something that has to become second nature to us. We talk about our religions and we are so grandiose about everything else except the minimum functioning of being clean and keeping your city clean. It is your fundamental duty to do it. So this pampering of giving people money to segregate, I'm sorry, it's the rubbish you have created. You jolly well learn how to clean it up. Segregate it for your own comfort, otherwise their garbage should not be collected. Let it rot in their house so that they learn how to segregate. I'm tough about these things, but bad luck.
The question goes, should India consider imposing a penalty such as an additional tax or fine on eligible citizens who choose not to vote? And the addition to this is, we are all talking about one nation, one election. What is your opinion about it?
I was actually trying to, before you asked the question, actually trying to take a cue from what she said, because she was saying about citizens should do this, collect the garbage and everything, but I'm sitting in a constituency right now which doesn't vote more than 55%. And I come from a constituency which voted 86%. In 2024, 86% people turned up, voted. In 2019, 84% turned up and voted. And mine is a rural constituency. And add to that, this segregation of garbage. In my villages, it happens perfectly. Because the garbage man goes to every house and that is segregated properly and given. The only fault that happens is, whenever they have extra garbage, what they do is they just bring it out, put it in the nala there, which our sarpanch, so coming to the question, as you said about people not voting, I think it's about high time people should come out and vote. And good, there are a lot of youngsters sitting here and who have been given enough knowledge and enough drive for them to understand what's happening in the country, what's our democratic process and everything. If the parents can bring them here, trying to make them understand how the country is being run, how to go about it, I think parents should actually take a cue from that and actually go out and vote. Penalizing them, Australia does it, penalize them, but I don't know, because penalizing is not the way to go. I think there should be more of a drive, more of a, reaching out to them, convincing them, come out and vote. Every vote matters. And recently, if you have seen New York also, one of the high-profile election, normally people don't go out and vote. I think the way they campaigned and people have come out and voted. So I think we need to get creative also to make the people come out and vote. The second question was regarding one nation, one election. I don't believe in that personally. Personally, because they should be, when you have elections happening, if not continuously, but at least with some periodical this thing, as a leader, I also will get, as an MP or as an MLA, I also get a feedback if I'm doing right or wrong. So if I don't get any feedback for 5 years down the line, all I have to do is I have to go for my election. Then I'm deceiving myself. That's what I feel, but that's a personal feeling, but that's what I feel. Thank you.
Sir, Suresh Reddy garu, can
Yes,
you give us
for
your insight on
Preeti
that
garu,
question?
your question about people not going to vote. If you see the profile of people who vote and profile of people who do not vote, that's the fundamentals which we need to understand. The people who vote are basically the poor people, downtrodden, because for them, for that voter, voting means he is alive, wo zinda hai. So the government should look at him. So that is need to vote. And if you look at the other balance, people who do not vote, now penalizing them probably may not work, but the people who do not vote really understand the value of vote, but the urge to vote probably is not there in them. So to create a urge in them, probably it should be purely an introspection within them. Having said this, if you see Churchill's prophecy, what he said then when India became independent, the kind of things he mentioned, but looking back today, when you sit back after 76 years of your Indian independence, you feel so proud that the electoral system was what, in spite of what it is, has eventually delivered to the nation some sort of governance, changed governments, but it has been happening purely through the power of vote. Your second question on one nation, one election, I differ from my young friend. I would definitely go for one nation, one election. The reason being, India is so highly politicalized. Politicalized not at the macro level, politicalized at the micro level, at a village level. If too much of politics creates division, and the division kind of continues over a period of time. So, ek chunav ke baad, dusre ke baad, teesra, so the kind of tension in the village continues, and that doesn't bring in harmony. Second, even for the planners in the government, the political planners, I think once for all, it can be a good initiative. That's my view. And as and when it comes in the parliament for passage, you can hear some wonderful speeches on that.
Thank you, sir. That was.
I have a different opinion as usual.
Renuka ji.
I have a different opinion. Democracy is dynamic, and you will always look for change, and the citizen has the right to look for change when there are several elections, whether it is at the grassroots level or the top. We've seen supposedly great progressive developed nations and blah happening internationally, which have two parties and have thrown up lunatics, which is impacting the world today. I'm sorry, I'm not naming them, but I am definitely shaming them. So that is not the answer for something like India, where we have multilingual, multi-religious, multicultural approaches to our life, and our concepts of what is required by us, by the people, for the people, and of the people, the fundamental principles of a democracy. I don't think anyone has the authority to say, okay, we'll remove all this and we'll have a one nation, one something, because some man who has come into parliament, whether he's literate or not, and bring forged documents and occupy posts that they do, it is quite alarming. Now, as for the other question of why citizens don't vote, yes, it is a deep disappointment that people who think they are patriots, we are nationalists, we are Hindus, we are blah, but we won't go out and vote. What a collective shame that is. And who doesn't go to vote? As the Krishna said rightly, the rural folks go out to vote because they feel empowered. They say, if I vote or I don't vote, I can tell my leader where he gets off. But it's the educated. It is the informed who are the disappointment for me in this democracy. That we, the people, who are supposedly educated, it's not just literacy. We are supposed to have evolved. That you think it's a bore to go and stand in the queue to go and cast your vote. It is the most valuable instrument that you have. If you have not voted, then you deserve the government you get. And please don't come and complain afterwards that I am not getting this, I am not getting that. You don't deserve it. You don't want to go out and vote one day for a few hours. You have to vote. If you're a nationalist, if you're a patriot, you must go out and vote. And that is something all of us collectively in this room must take the responsibility. Encourage your domestic staff to go out and vote. They'll vote. You'll sit in the AC room and you won't go out to vote. It's really a bitter disappointment, and it's something this time in the Jubilee Hills by-election, okay, we won, but it's not a big deal. We spent a lot of money on that election, and 43% or something voted. People in multi-stories, people with Mercedes-Benz never came out and voted. Maybe BMW can use that platform to convince your buyers that if they go out and vote, you'll give them a price discount. So that is something I strongly feel about. We must vote. We have our soldiers who stand at the boundaries of our nation, defending our right to this democracy. They lay down their life in service to the nation. It is the least that we can do, that we go out to vote so that our soldiers feel their lives are well served. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing before we end up. If you have time, you don't have to come out, you don't have to stand in the sun, but if you have time on Tuesday, tune into Lok Sabha TV because a great debate is going to happen on the electoral reforms. So if you can follow, you can get more.
Hey, sorry, can I just jump in? I just want to add one thing. Can I?
Yes, sir, please. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
please.
I'm reluctant being remote, but I just want to make a point. I wrote about a 12 or 13-page essay in either Outlook or Frontline magazine last year, showing the many shortcomings in the current electoral process. I thought it couldn't get worse from there, and I'm sad to say it has gotten a lot worse. So before we talk about one nation, one election and all that, we should have an election commission that can actually be competent enough to run elections separately, discreetly, properly, with some reliability, because the sanctity of the vote, the sanctity of an election result is the heart, the bedrock of democracy. That itself, they're not doing such a good job. I can tell you 100 things that are wrong. It's in the essay, or I have a couple of videos out. Let them figure out how to run one election properly at a time. Then we'll figure out if they can run 30 elections or 40 elections at a time.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to each of our panelists for this insightful and powerful conversation. And thank you to our moderator as well. This moment represents the heart of Democratic Sangha, gratitude for voices that inspire and inform change.